What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so in this video, I want to talk about one of the more unsung legendary players of the 1970s, and that is George Mcginnis. Alright? George Mcginnis, I think a lot of people, well, first of all, he's not talked about much anymore. Probably because most young fans tend to look at the ABA as an inferior league, right? And also the NBA, despite the fact that they annexed 4 teams from the league, took the three-point line from the ABA, the dunk contest from the ABA, were heavily influenced by the ABA, but yet they don't really give the ABA any respect. Hell, most of the times people don't even count ABA stats, which unfortunately will go against certain players' legacies, which some people do on purpose, because they don't want some of these other players of the past to compare to the players today. So George Mcginnis, because his best days came in the ABA, is often overlooked, but he truly is one of the great players of his generation. Unfortunately, by the time he entered the NBA in 1976 with the Philadelphia 76ers, he was already starting to wear down from injuries, even though he was only in his late 20s at the time, but injuries were already starting to take a toll on him. About 1979, 1980, he was fading. But make no mistake about it, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame about 6 years ago, it was well deserved. Before I go forward, let's look at his resume. So he's a 2-time ABA champion with the Indiana Pacers. He was the ABA playoffs MVP back in 1973, and the ABA MVP in 1975, and 3-time NBA All-Star, 1976, 77, and 79. All NBA first team, 1976, All NBA second team, 1977, 3-time ABA All-Star, 2-time All ABA first teamer, All ABA second team, ABA All Rookie first team, ABA scoring champion 1975, and he's on the ABA all-time team. His number 30 is retired by the Indiana Pacers, and in college he was third team All-American, Associated Press, NABC, UPI, Mr. Basketball USA back in 1969, first team Parade All-American in 1969, and Indiana Mr. Basketball in 1969. For his career, he scored 17,009 points, just over 17,000 points, pulled down over 9,000 rebounds, 9,233 rebounds, and dished out over 3,000 assists, 3,089 assists. For his career, stats-wise, George Mcginnis played in 842 games, averaged 20.2 points, 11 rebounds per game, and 3.7 assists per contest. And his best years were between 1972 and going into the NBA in 1978-79 with the Denver Nuggets. During this 7-year span, George Mcginnis averaged 24.4 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 4 assists per contest, along with 2 steals as well. Every year during this time period, he was an all-star. So, George Mcginnis was born in 1950, August the 10th, in Indianapolis, Indiana. and Mcginnis attended Washington High School in Indianapolis. And he and teammate Steve Downing led Washington to a 31-0 record in the state championship in 1969. Mcginnis set an Indiana State tournament scoring record with 148 points in his final 4 games. He was also named Mr. Basketball for the state of Indiana that year. In the 1970-71 season in Indiana, Mcginnis became the first sophomore to lead the Big Ten in scoring and rebounding. He averaged 29, nearly 30 points per game in his lone season in Bloomington, earning All-American and All Big Ten honors. In 1971, he played for Coach Lou Watson the year before they hired Bobby Knight, Indiana University. In 1971, Mcginnis signed a contract with the Indiana Pacers of the ABA, and he immediately became one of the marquee players of the ABA, playing a key role on the Pacers championship teams in each of their first 2 seasons with his hometown franchise. He was named the ABA Playoffs MVP in 1973, averaging 24 points and 12 rebounds per game to help the Pacers repeat as champs. His best season came in 1974-75 when Mcginnis scored a career-high 29.8 points per game en route to ABA MVP honors. He nearly averaged a triple-double in the playoffs that year, 32.3 points, 15.9 rebounds, and 8.2 assists in 18 games, but the Pacers fell short of the title, losing to the Kentucky Colonels in the ABA Finals. 2 years into his professional career, Mcginnis was selected by the Sixers as the 22nd overall pick in the second round of the 1973 NBA Draft. In October of 1974, the Sixers were ready to send Mcginnis draft rights to the New York Knicks with the stipulation that the latter ball club signs him before the agreed upon deadline. The deal fell through when he decided to stay with the Pacers and signed a 2-year contract with an $85,000 buyout clause, which was exercised following the 74-75 season. Preferring to play in New York because of his financial endorsement opportunities, Mcginnis sought a preliminary injunction and restraining order against the NBA in 1975 that would have permitted him to negotiate with any of the league's 18 teams. The lawsuit was dropped a week later when he signed a 6-year, $2.4 million contract with the Knicks in a challenge to the league's constitution. In his first action as new commissioner, Larry O'Brien disapproved the contract and ordered the Knicks to forfeit his first selection in the 76 NBA draft and reimbursed the 76ers for all expenses relevant to the dispute. Mcginnis signed a 6-year, $3.2 million guaranteed, no cut, no trade, no option contract with the Sixers 5 weeks later in July of 1975. Mcginnis made the All-NBA first team in his debut season with the Sixers and was selected to 2 All-Star games in his 3 seasons with the team. In 1976, following the ABA-NBA merger, he teamed up with fellow ABA alumni Julius Erving and Caldwell Jones. Mcginnis helped lead the 76ers to the playoffs to the finals in 1977 by averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per playoff game, where he and the Sixers, who had a 2-0 lead, eventually lost in 6 games to the Portland Trailblazers. Mcginnis was traded to the Denver Nuggets in 1978 for Bobby Jones and was an All-Star again that season. On January 9, 1980, Mcginnis scored an NBA career-high 43 points. His career high was in the ABA when he scored 58 points, along with grabbing 12 rebounds in the game against the Houston Rockets. So what that actually means is that when people say that Reggie Miller has the high for the Pacers in scoring with 57, it's really the NBA high. The all-time high is 58 by George Mcginnis. That's something I just learned myself. Hoping to boost sagging attendance in their early NBA days, the Pacers reacquired Mcginnis by trading away young forward Alex English, which wound up being a bad decision, right? However, Mcginnis was already beyond his prime, even though he was only in his early 30s, but he was beyond his prime, averaging only 13 points per game during the 80-81 season, and was unable to help the Pacers pass their first-round matchup against the Sixers in the 81 playoffs, while English went on to become a multiple-time All-Star and franchise player for the Nuggets. As a matter of fact, Alex English is the all-time leader in scoring in the 1980s. Mcginnis is one of four players, the others being Roger Brown, Mel Daniels, and Reggie Miller, that have their jersey retired by the Pacers. Of course, Mcginnis wore number 30. All four are also members of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Back in 2017, Mcginnis was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame alongside Tracy McGrady, Bill Self, and Rebecca Lobo. As far as his game is concerned, George Mcginnis was 6'8", 235 pounds when he played basketball, and he was a forward, power forward to be precise. He wasn't a spectacular dunker, like Dominique Wilkins or Julius Erving. Although he could dunk, but he wasn't like an overwhelming dunker. He wasn't flashy like Pete Maravich. What made him so devastating was he really didn't have weaknesses in his prime. What hurt him is that his prime didn't last long enough. But what made George Mcginnis so scary was he had incredible strength. I mean, 6'8", 235, 240, but he was incredibly strong. When he bulled his way to the basket, he couldn't be stopped. You had to foul him or hope that he missed somehow. And that way, he kind of had some similarities with LeBron James. Unlike LeBron James, though, he had a jump shot. Okay? He had great agility. He had tremendous body control. He was a tenacious rebounder. And he was, for a big man in the 1970s, a really gifted passer. And that's what made him such a stat-stuffing type dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told you these numbers, 30 points and 14 rebounds and 8 assists. He would fit right in today's game. He would totally fit into today's schemes. And would he be able to shoot threes? I mean, what kills me is that people say, oh, well, those guys didn't shoot three. Well, there was no three-point line back then. But I find it difficult to believe that players that could master other aspects of the games just wouldn't be able to figure out shooting threes. I don't buy that. For one thing I do remember about Mcginnis, though, I think he could be a little bit. There's one bad thing I want to say about him. Let me look at the numbers before I say that. I think he could be a little bit turnover prone. And yeah, I do see that. For his career, he averaged 4 turnovers a game. 75, he averaged over 5 turnovers a game. 79, 84. So he could be a little bit turnover prone at times. But other than that, he was gifted at in the pass lanes, getting steals. He was a good defender. I think he would fit in right in today's game. He's not too big. He's not a lumbering guy. He played in a fast-paced league, the ABA, so he would fit right in. Only thing is that he would have to implement a three-point shot into his game. But like I said, in a lot of ways, when you think about it, the way he played is kind of like how LeBron might have played back then. Maybe not totally dominating the ball like that because you got other guys around him, but the skill set is there. So yeah, I think George McGinnis would be sensational today. I think if you're a great player, almost for the most part, you'll fit right into any league in any era. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.